Hey guys, Kyle here. So, just before the show starts, I wanted to mention our Patreon. You can pay us $1 a month as a thank you, as a tip. You can pay $2 a month to get access to one of our bonus content shows, episodes 2 days early, and a secret Discord chat where all of our Patreon donors get to go and hang out and talk with us directly. Then there's a $5 tier that you can donate to get access to a whole bunch more content. We have multiple bonus episodes on there. So please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. We don't advertise, we don't make money. So check it out and throw some money if you think that would be cool. Thanks. Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try and make your world a little weirder. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Nile. And you sound a little more confused than normal there.
Yeah, I almost said I'm Nile.
About yourself?
Yeah. I almost said I was you for a second. Which is, I think that's sort of like a logical direction for this show to go after we inch closer to 400 episodes is our mind melding.
Maybe we should have done this from day one. What would have been a very funny bit when we started the podcast is we assign the note taker and the listener, like the idiot and the researcher, one named Nile, one named Kyle, and we swap names every episode.
Right. That's one of the most fucked up things you've said on this show.
If we kept that bit up, that would have been the funniest fucking thing. We'd be way more popular if we did that.
Okay. Way more popular. People would actually love this show. They'd go from liking it to like really genuinely loving it. Which, speaking of liking the show, we actually have an email from a fan to read up front. If you don't mind, Niall, I can do it.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, we do.
No, go
Is
ahead.
that okay? All right.
I love to eat my emails.
I don't know. You can chill out about it, I guess. I don't know where that came from. I'm going to read this email. So this email's titled Hey Weirdos. And it says, as I write this, the sun hasn't even risen on this Thursday morning. This was sent on a Thursday, by the way. I just clocked in at I just clocked in at the cupcake factory where I work after having to walk to said job in the rain. I was feeling pretty blue, so to cheer myself up, I turned on your podcast, and hearing your voices finally made me smile. Thanks for making my world a little weirder. Love you. Signed, Jules. Wait, this is from Jules?
I believe it was.
The email was coming from inside the house.
The email came from inside the podcast.
So in our first ever email rebuttal, Jules, what do you have to say for yourself?
Wait, I'm rebutting my own email? Why?
I'd mostly like you to explain yourself on this one.
Yeah, this podcast actually sucks ass, I guess, if I'm rebutting it.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you for clarifying that for us. No, Jules is here, and that was a real email. And I did see that when I woke up one day, and that sucks.
Just the
they
other
had
day?
To walk to school in the rain. Or school. I don't know.
My bus stop is so far away from my house.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
That sucks.
I have about a 20-minute walk in the morning usually because I take public transit to my job, and so on days when it's raining or whatever, sometimes you just
not so great.
You walk for 20 minutes in the rain, but then you have a podcast with your two favorite weirdos.
Absolutely, and I imagine that brisk 20-minute walk is occasionally pretty nice. I wish I could just walk 20 minutes to my stupid fucking office job, but.
See, but when you work from home, you can walk 10 minutes away from your house
and then 10 minutes back.
That's true. That's so true.
Or if you have to go to the office, you can just park 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
This sounds like
find a parking garage about 20 minutes away. Google Maps, set a radius. Find a parking garage.
Nice brisk walk-in.
Check their monthly rates.
That'd be cool.
And then
Kyle. that would be cool.
That would be kind of cool to
that'd be pretty cool.
Get that kind of a setup. Although, there might be days where you'd kind of cheat and be like, oh, maybe I park in the work parking lot today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And then you walk for 20 minutes around the building?
I actually genuinely used to do that, and I would there's like nowhere to walk around the building that I worked at. It was just a big series of corporate fucking parking lots and buildings. So I would just like walk around the parking lot. I would like get up and pace around the building because, which is like not, it's what I can't describe like how psychically shittier it is walking around a corporate parking lot than like almost anywhere else. You know, like it's like so lame.
Have you ever seen the movie Office Space? They made a whole movie about that as an idea.
Yeah. It's I've walked around many an office park because the place that I've worked for a long time has existed in the most like nondescript fucking industrial office parks, and you just are there's nothing there. You feel like you're in a non-place.
Yeah, it's rough out there being a corporate drone, you know? I feel that.
Yeah.
So let's have a little fun escapism from that kind of bullshit.
Sure. Yeah, corporate ennui.
My goal
let's get
is
out
to
of
get you guys, I want to get Nile a 3-course dinner. So I want at least 3 emails off of this. So if you're listening to this right now, send an email.
That would be really good, actually. I would love to get some emails about this.
I'm going for exactly 3. So if you get more than 3, I bust.
So you're setting up like a fucking like mind bender challenge of people trying to. How good's your game theory, dear listener?
Yeah. I challenge you, dear listener, to send 3 emails from 3 different people, by the way. 3 different people. And I will be checking IP addresses.
That's right. I'm glad Kyle's backing me on this 100%.
Yeah. So please send in 3 emails in response to this week's episode. And I just want to say, it is 2024, and god damn it, somebody has to talk about sea monsters.
Sure. Yeah.
This week,
I think it's really an underserved market that
I agree.
Nobody's talking about.
It's been a while since we've really had to wrangle sea monsters, I think. And this week I decided I wanted to get a nice little grab bag of sea monsters, basically an appetizer and then a full meal, if you will.
Okay.
So
expand. You gave us a little starter course.
Yeah.
This is like kind of a dinner deal.
Yeah. So like one sort of like...
amuse my boosh.
We're going to amuse
like an
everybody's fucking
Applebee's
boosh
pick 2
right now. This is... So the first one is sort of like Applebee's half priced apps sort of cryptid.
Does it come with a $1 cocktail?
Yes. It does come with a $1 cocktail.
Sorry. I just imagine Kyle taking like a wheel of brie and like sticking apples into it and calling it apple brie.
Apple breeze.
That's some bullshit that I might do too. Like that is so me.
Like drizzle some like honey and pecans on it. Fuck it.
Ooh, that sounds good though.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's expand our cryptozoology Pokedex, you know, like let's catch a couple more here. So kicking us off is the sighting of a mysterious serpentine monster off the coast of Wales. That's right, our first cryptid hails from the same country as show favorite noisy rock band Future of the Left and McLusky, who, by the way, put out some nice music last year. Pretty much slaps.
McLusky did?
Yeah. McLusky put out
a fucking
put
EP.
out an EP.
I forgot.
And it was really good. But yeah, music aside, I mean, look, I would recommend checking out McLusky and Future of the Left to anybody. Check them out. They're really, really good. And probably the only thing outside of cryptids that is worth noting that came from Wales, as far as I know. So
Terry Jones.
Sure. Who is that? You say Terry Jones?
Yeah. I said Terry Jones, you son of a bitch. Do you know who Terry Jones is?
The name sounds
Niall
familiar.
doesn't know either.
No,
Niall's going to try to hide behind your skirt, Kyle.
This is a big skirt.
Okay, here's the thing. There are like 16 British, like large format British people from.
Well, he's Welsh.
I would they would probably take offense to that.
Great
Welsh.
Britain, people from the UK,
yeah,
that have names such like this. So he's either in The Who,
they have names,
or
he's
like in Monty Python, and I cannot remember which one.
Remind
now,
me.
Kyle, do you know all 4 members of The Who? We're gonna figure this out.
Off the top of my head, no.
Try.
Oh fuck.
Try to name all 4 members. I gave you a hint already. There's 4.
So there's Tyler Perry. There's
You can't name any of them. You can. Come on.
There's Tommy.
Fuck off. You really can't name a single member of the Who.
There's
and
the
you
one,
lived with me for how many years?
Here's the thing. There's the main guy.
There's a picture of them hanging on our bedroom wall,
There's
Nile,
the
and
main
you can't
guy
name them.
whose name I am like forgetting right now because I'm so.
I retract my email.
Okay. Okay.
Look, I tried to set you up for that earlier. You disregarded your chance. Sorry.
Who's the fucking
Can't do it.
main guy who like is like the name of the Who?
Main guy.
I know his name.
Roger Daltrey.
Roger Daltrey. There's the other guy too.
Pete Townsend.
Pete Townsend.
Yeah.
That's who I'm thinking of is Pete Townsend.
He's
and then
the
there's
main
the
guy.
drummer,
Right.
Keith Moon.
Keith Moon. I have heard. I know all these.
And then there's the
names.
bass player that I can never remember
Terry
his name,
Eagleton.
and that's
Now, Kyle, here, I'll give Kyle a hint, actually. And I'm fully derailing. I don't care.
oh yeah.
You watched or listened to, I'm almost certain, when Tim Heidecker was on Comedy Bang Bang.
No.
And he said that he was doing merch
Fucking
for
end
the
whistle.
Who. Thank you. And he was selling train whistles with this man's name written on them.
Oh my god, that's like one of my favorite Tim Heidecker bits ever too.
It's
that's
so
a very
fucking
funny bit.
That was really funny. I have
John
listened to
Entwistle.
that. I forgot
Jesus
about it.
Christ.
John Entwistle.
So like, here's the thing. I have a bad
So
Terry
memory.
Gilliam and Terry Jones, right?
They are both members of Monty Python. Terry Jones is Welsh, and John Entwistle.
Okay.
John Cleese never like lets you forget that fact.
Yeah.
John Cleese loves to make Welsh jokes about Terry Jones to Terry Jones.
Okay.
It is like a huge thing.
At what age were you when you realized that John Cleese is kind of a dick?
Yeah, probably like 12.
Yeah,
It was much later
it
for
just
me.
gets worse every year.
There's some people who are funny who are also just like real life big dicks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and that's just how it is on this bitch
Like
of
you
Earth,
guys.
like us. I knew all those names. I just like pulling them off the top of my head with my
Okay,
brain being
name
the way
all
it
the
is.
members of Monty Python now.
I think I can do it. It's Michael Palin, John
Okay.
Cleese, Terry Jones, Terry Gilliam, and the last one.
You always think there's only 5, but there's 6.
Terry
You're missing
Eagle.
2 right
No,
now.
I said that earlier.
It's disrespectful is what it is.
Yeah.
Johnny
I didn't-
Tremaine.
So, but you can't think of either one of them? You went strong.
Yeah.
I can
You opened
picture
it
all
strong.
of them. This is the thing. I can picture all of them, what they look like in my brain. I cannot remember names.
Picture the people in Holy Grail, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're forgetting 2 people who have major parts in Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bravely brave Sir Robin.
I know. I
I-
can picture
I
exactly
can't.
who you're talking about. I genuinely can. I can't remember the
Also,
name.
King Arthur. You didn't name King Arthur from Holy Grail.
I
Shit.
cannot.
Graham Chapman
Thank you.
Graham Chapman.
and Eric Idle.
Eric Idle. That's the like really important
Eric Idle,
one,
you
'cause-
know, the main one.
Yeah. Well, Eric Idle's like, if I remember correctly, Eric Idle did a bunch of cool other shit beyond the Pythons that I like.
He's by far the most famous in America. I think
Yeah.
it's him and John Cleese.
I was gonna say because
broke
like
through in America.
I knew John Cleese was my into the Pythons, so in my brain he's the main one, but that's probably not correct.
no,
No,
that's how I used
he
to feel
considers
too.
himself the main one too.
Yeah.
Which was Eric Idle one of the guys behind the Ruddles?
Yes,
Okay, that's
I
yeah.
love the Ruddles.
which the Ruddles. Yeah, that's my uncle is actually the one who introduced me to the Ruddles, which I had never heard of until I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago. So that is
The
some good
Ruddles
stuff.
is the proto Walk Hard.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good.
Just like genuinely good music that has no right to be
Yeah.
as good as it is, wrapped in a really funny satirical package.
yeah, check out the Ruddles, everybody. RUTLES. I look.
Humanity is doomed to create one too poignant music bio parody every 20 years, 30 years.
I guess so.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
So wow, yeah. Wales.
So we got a sea monster off the coast of Wales, right? That's as far as we got before?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a Welsh sea monster. And no, we're not talking about the guy from the Monty Pythons. This is Nile, Jules, this is a creature called the Barmouth Monster, which I think is how that's pronounced. Barmouth, which like I'm just following off of like typical that area of Europe, like pronunciation, UK pronunciation of
Yeah, they love to ignore the O.
yeah. So I'm guessing it's Barmouth, probably not Barmouth, which is how an ignorant American would say it. And this thing has a couple different names. It's also known as the Beast of Barmouth. It's mostly been seen.
I love the Rolling Stones.
It's mostly been seen.
Name all 4.
No, we're not doing another one of those. You get 2 per episode.
Yeah, 2 per episode, and then and I just want to say, asking me to name names is hard. But if I could beam an image of the person that I can beam
Kyle
their image into your mind. But
you can't beam the image, but you can draw them. If you can draw them, then it will count.
I need to practice that particular skill. But
okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know Mick Jagger has big lips, Kyle, but that's offensive.
What did I do?
You drew him in an offensive manner. I'm looking at the drawing that you did of him right now. Private. This is a caricature.
Kyle doesn't know that I put the second camera pointing down at his desk. He doesn't know I have that one.
Fucking stupid with those big ass lips of his. The guy, one of the guys from, I'm not even going to do this. Another Tim Heidecker bit involves taking one of the guys from, I think, The Who, and counting every time in an interview that he licks his lips. If I'm thinking of anyways, don't, you know what? That's its own thing. I also,
you know what? Forget it.
Wrong. I'm sorry. So, the Barmouth Monster. Now this guy's mostly been seen around the Menai Strait, which is, it's like 25 miles of coastal waters. So it's like ocean water. And it sort of splits this northwesterly portion of Wales into 2. So like there's an island to the north and then the mainland of Wales below it.
Okay.
And I think the island's called Anglesey. And it doesn't matter. But the Barmouth Monster has been described a number of different ways by different people who have claimed to have seen it in this area. But it seems to have two main versions, which I appreciate that this cryptid's doing sort of the Pokemon thing. So you can pick whichever version.
Make people buy 2 copies.
Yeah, exactly. So one version claims that the creature is serpentine, sort of like the classic snake-like sea monster or dragon-like, but I think this is probably a bit more serpent than dragon. But if this is the case, because I've seen what is supposedly a photo of the thing.
Okay. So there are supposed photos of it.
Yeah. If this thing's a serpent, then it's not like, it's like small potatoes compared to like the behemoth sea monsters of the open ocean legends. It doesn't look huge from the extremely limited and blurry photographic evidence that I have seen. So it's like
give him a break. He's doing his best.
I'm not
might
saying,
be a young boy. This might be a baby sea.
I'm just saying I think that sea serpent conjures an image in people's minds. And so I want to clarify, this is not a beast that is bigger than a sailing vessel, just to be clear.
Is that the bigger than a bread box for sea serpents?
Yes, exactly.
Let's play 20 questions with the Beast of Barmouth.
We'd run out of answers pretty quickly, unfortunately. The other version describes the Barmouth Monster more like a crocodilian sort of dinosaur-like creature. Like it has dinosaur skin, supposedly, although that's kind of weird because, like, I don't know if we have an exact idea of what dinosaur skin necessarily looks like because it's kind of changed over the years.
Yeah, I feel like we've really had some radical shifts in dinosaur stuff since I was a child.
Aren't we on now that they had feathers? They all had feathers.
But I sort of wonder if a sea serpent sort of dinosaur or sea crocodile would not have feathers, probably. But maybe they did. I'm not a dinosaur
ducks.
scientist. That's true. Ducks are. That's true. I don't know. You got me there. I got nothing.
Yeah. Could be like a platypus. Fuck it.
Could be like a platypus.
That's the most hateful thing you've ever said.
What?
That's offensive to the duck community.
Yeah, you're really shitting on the duck community, Nile, and I ask you to
I
do
like
better.
platypus. I don't know.
They're two different species,
Well, yeah.
and you're grouping them together
Yeah.
like a bigot.
No, I was just saying another option of what it could be
Oh,
like.
all animals that have bills look the same to me.
You know what else technically has a bill? A dolphin sort of has a bill. So
Yeah.
are you saying
Niall, so why
dolphins,
don't you
ducks, and
fucking-
platypus are like all the same to you?
Wait, let me get my notes app up here. I'll start working on my apology.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. Well, this
Thank you.
version of the Barmouth Monster is like not only a crocodile-like, dinosaur-like creature, it's also 10 feet long and is said to have footprints the size of an elephant's.
How much does it look like the crocodile from Peter Pan?
How much does it look like the crocodile from Peter Pan? Let me go ahead and turn behind me and see.
Let's look
Not
at the big
at
board.
all. All right.
Survey says not at all.
Brr.
No, I honestly,
That's a whammy.
It's really not that crocodile-like, except that its face is sort of crocodile-like. The rest is sort of like that classic plesiosaur, like almost Nessie sort of vibe. Is the way it gets described in some accounts. But again, like the
Classic plesiosaur.
yes, well, you know the image of Nessie, right, as being like this sort of like potato body with these fins and tail and the long neck and stuff. You know that?
So this is like if Nessie had big legs, like crocodile
This is like
legs.
if Nessie had crocodile legs and a crocodile head. Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen Nessie look like that, but I also, what about the Nessie that is like popping in and out of the water like a big snake? Isn't that also a
That's
Nessie
also another
way
interpretation.
that they're
Yeah.
portrayed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, with these like water cryptids like this, it's like you're usually seeing the back of something if it is a creature at all. So there's a lot of guessing, and then like people will then take their account of seeing something weird that's usually not very, that's like probably pretty nondescript, because and then they're just taking it and extrapolating from that and exaggerating, and that's typically how these stories happen. But the photo of this does not indicate anything at all, by the way. Like we'll get to that, but
It's just a gray dot.
it's not even a gray dot. It's people are pretty sure they know what it is, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
So the first account,
You'll try.
I'll try. Hey, look,
Part
I'm
2,
really
Jules,
trying.
you got to come. Hey, Jules, here's the thing. If you delay the episode long enough, we need to do a part 2. You have to come back for part 2.
Don't threaten me with
That
a
is
good
true.
time.
That is true. You are going to have to come back. So the first account that I could find of this thing goes as far back as 1805, and there's not a lot to this story. It was in 1805 that apparently a ship near the Menai Straits reported an encounter with a large sea serpent, and so this ship was supposedly attacked by this serpent, which managed to wrap itself around the mast of the ship. Now, in the ensuing panic, the crew of the ship attacked the creature back, and when they did, it relinquished the ship's mast and dropped back into the water. And the report says that while the attack had stopped, the monster then followed the ship for 2 more days until it disappeared into the sea. Now, I tried to find a source for this story since it's like the first one cataloged on the Cryptid Wiki, like chronologically. But all I was able to find was a paranormal database that seems to have a focus on UK-based creatures and paranormal sightings. And side note, we got to go back to like northwestern Wales for UFO stuff, because there was like a couple of UFO stories that I found when I was looking into this.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It seems like
I really
Wales
should
has
get
some
more
good UFO stuff.
I really should get more specific with like, because like sometimes I'll be like European UFO, and
Yeah.
you got to get more specific to find the
Yeah,
good shit.
Welsh UFO. Let's check it out. I think that's
Alright.
got to come in the future soon.
Where is Port Merion?
Oh, I don't know.
That's it's in Wales,
It's
right?
in Wales, but
Yeah.
he said northeastern Wales.
I don't know.
I'm
exactly
wondering
where.
if there's ever been some alien sightings in Port Merion.
Probably.
I'll try to do a search, and if I find one, I'll have you on the episode.
That would
Hell
be
yeah.
great.
So yeah, it's this database that I found that I think was pulling this sighting from a November 2016 Daily Post North Wales online news article that was titled "North Wales X-Files: Does Barmouth Have Its Own Sea Monster?"
Hell yeah.
So in this article, it basically just repeats the story and cites unnamed sources. So I don't know exactly where this came from, but it's the same story on both websites. However, I do think it's notable that this particular historical moment was a big one for European sea monsters and folklore, and a lot of like supposedly real reports from seafaring vessels, because I don't know, the early 19th century has lots of stories like this just ripped straight from myth, especially in Europe and around where the UK would be today. And I think it would be really cool to do a history of sea monsters thing sometime, because there's a lot of stuff there. So
Yeah.
I just something that I kind of brushed up against while I was researching this. So anyways, our next sighting comes in 1882, and this one is actually recorded in history through a letter sent to Nature, which, Nile, I'm pretty sure this is the same science journal that would publish Targ and Puthoff's report on psychokinesis.
Oh, okay.
And
oh, yeah. I was going to say that sounded like a journal just called Nature sounded familiar,
yeah,
but okay.
Jules, I just did a series of like episodes on psychic research, and at one point these guys, one of which is a Scientologist, publishes a report on Uri Geller, the spoon bending psychic, in a journal in 1975, a British science journal called Nature, and I'm pretty sure this is the same thing. And then also, side note, but I showed that particular paper like a week or two ago to a friend of mine who's very into science, who's well read on science, and because I wanted to ask him to clarify something that I like, some terminology that I read in the paper. And he said that he found, quote, the phrasing is odd, almost like they're trying to just show how smart they are.
Yeah, that tracks with
I thought that was
general
funny.
claims of the man.
Yeah. So, this is the 1882 sighting that got published in Nature. So here's what it says. About 3 p.m. on Sunday, September 3rd, 1882, a party of gentlemen and ladies were standing at the northern extremity of Llandudno Pier, looking towards the open sea, when an unusual object was observed in the water near to the Little Orme's Head, traveling rapidly westwards towards the Great Orme. It appeared to be just outside the mouth of the... Can I just say that Little Orme's Head and Great Orme sound like Lord of the Rings type shit?
You're not aware of Aquaman's brother, King Orm?
I guess not. No.
Played by Patrick Wilson.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that. I didn't know that the...
The
Ocean
Patrick
Master?
Wilson is Orm.
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson gets a character poster where it says "is Orm."
Wilson is Orm. Zendaya is Michi.
His hair is all slicked back. He's looking like a real piece of shit.
Yeah, I guess he's in the second
God.
one too, and kind of more of a like basically being Loki kind of.
They're showing him more in the trailer to cover up that Amber Heard is still in it.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
You better
God.
believe.
I know the name, but I don't remember what happened. I'm just gonna
Move
keep
on.
moving on.
Yeah.
Just move on.
So,
It's like quicksand. You have to keep walking
For
or else
real.
you'll
Yep.
start sinking.
it appeared. So the story goes on to say it appeared to be just outside the mouth of the bay and would therefore be about a mile distant from the observers. It was watched for about 2 minutes, and in that interval, it traversed about half the width of the bay and then suddenly disappeared. The bay is 2 miles wide, and therefore the object, whatever it was, must have traveled at the rate of 30 miles an hour. It is estimated to have been fully as long as a large steamer, say 200 feet. The rapidity of its motion was particularly remarked on as being greater than that of any ordinary vessel. The color appeared to be black, and the motion either corkscrew-like or snake-like, with vertical undulations. 3 of the observers have since made sketches from memory, quite independently of the impression left of their minds, and on comparing these sketches, which slightly varied, they have agreed to sanction the accompanying outline as representing as nearly as possible the object which they saw. Just say you got it pretty close.
Yeah, they had small differences.
And then they list the names of the people. The party consisted of W. Barfoot, J.P. of Leicester, F.J. Marlowe, solicitor of Mrs. Warlow, and several others. And it says that they discard the theories of birds or porpoises as not accounting for this particular phenomenon. And this was signed by some guy named F.T. Mott. So this is the person who wrote Into Nature.
These are great names.
Yeah, a lot of really nice names here.
I love that it lists F.J. Marlowe, solicitor of Mrs. Marlowe. That's a good little extra tidbit there, because of course we can't know the initials of Mrs. Marlowe. We just know that's the wife.
Yep.
Which Nile and I have talked about this phenomenon in these stories before. How it's like John Smith and Mrs. Smith every time.
Yeah, or sometimes wife of John Smith. Like it's we got reports from the husband and wife,
Yes.
John Smith and wife of John
Yes,
Smith,
yeah.
and it's like, why?
This is the
why are we doing this?
This is the 1880s version of that. So,
Yeah.
1882.
So in the earliest accounts, we have a much more serpentine one. It's not the
Yeah.
kind of plesiosaur crocodile one, right?
Probably not. Like the crocodile one seems to come later, which actually, yeah, that comes later. But the ones in the like early to late 19th century all seem more serpentine, which could suggest plesiosaur. Like technically it could. I think like when people think, the only reason I'm saying it could is like a lot of the times these plesiosaur like cryptids have like the long neck, right?
Right.
Yeah, and they still might be like slithering through the water.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I just like a thing that I think about with sea serpents is it seems like over time there has been a shift from sea monsters being serpents in like olden times, like back when people would draw serpents on fucking maps and shit, all the way up until like now Nessie has kind of taken over and everyone sees something more along those lines that has the kind of four limbs and everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting to see the truth. So I was curious if that fit my like pet theory about the progression of sea serpents, I guess.
I think sea serpent, as we are thinking of it, like it goes like gets more and more predominant the further back in history you go.
Yeah.
Like you don't get a ton of like 1900s onward sightings of like a giant sea serpent, right? Like,
right.
And those like accounts of sea serpents are like often referred to as like they could be exaggerated like encounters with really huge crazy fish like oarfish and stuff. There's a lot of different explanations for it. This one I don't have like a good explanation for it, but it is like a weird sighting. Something probably came from the sea and went through the strait and like surfaced for a moment and people saw it and were like, what the fuck is that? So who knows? So the next two sightings that I have are like short and sweet ones. There was one in Bristol Hill on January 16th, 1883, where a woman says that she found 4 footprints about the size of an elephant's near Modak Estuary at Barmouth. So like this one's silly because it's like not even connected to the thing, but this is, I think, where the elephant foot thing came from. And it's literally like, it's not this woman is just like, I saw a creature come out of the water. It is, I saw elephant like prints, like claw prints, like prints in the ground that were the size of an elephant's. That's all it is.
So there was no creature sighting. It was just the footprints.
Just the prints.
And so that you have to wonder if that kind of version with the legs existed before this sighting, or if this was totally like a thing that we thought of as a sea serpent just came around.
I don't know. I think it kind of got incorporated. Like the thing is, it's just because of the location that I think like it, or at least that's how it appears to me, is that like because of where this was seen, it gets incorporated into, well, we know that there's this particular weird monster in the strait that goes through here, so it's probably that. But I can't say that for sure, so I don't know.
Fair.
The next sighting's in 1937, so we're zipping to a couple decades later. This is where we get the report of a crocodile-like animal who saw this creature walking along the riverbank near Modak Estuary at Barmouth. So in the same area, this is where the crocodile-like thing came from, but I don't think that there's any prints that are found. So, yeah, between these two sightings, these are like, I think, incorporated into the mythos of the Barmouth Monster.
All right.
Just because of where they are. Then, March 1975, there is a sighting by 6 schoolgirls on the Barmouth beach. And here's what they said, quote, "It had a long neck and a square face and a long tail with a flipper at the back, and its skin was black and patchy. It was like a dinosaur. The monster was about 10 feet long with a long tail, long neck, and huge green eyes. It walked towards the sea and entered the water."
That's so much smaller than the other ones have been.
Yeah, it's
right.
Yeah, well, so like I said, the further back you go, the bigger it gets. Like the sighting of it, like the sighting of it from 1803 or whatever on the actual like seafaring vessel implies a very big monster. But as you get these accounts that happen later, it's like 10 feet long. Like I think that 10 feet is not too crazy for a crocodile, for instance.
Oh, yeah. Totally within reason.
So, they're saying crocodile-like animal in 1937. 1975, they see something of that size. So I don't know.
It's actually really rude for you guys to be discussing his weight this much.
I'm not talking so much about weight as much as length. I want to see how long that son of a bitch is.
He was so big back in the 1800s, and
Well,
now he's so small. And it's like, yeah.
I don't think...
Look, I'm not shaming. I'm worried about him.
I'm worried he's going to shrink until he's so tiny he doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
I'm worried he's going to go full Rick Moranis in this bit.
Yeah.
Okay, by now, I think this is actually him.
Nile is holding
I have a
up
little plastic
a visual
lizard.
aid.
Oh, no, nice.
A little plastic lizard that
Perfect.
came in a chocolate egg.
We got to get you a webcam.
It came in a... Oh, wait, no, this is that
He's
one.
from the chocolate egg.
You're right. I'm wrong.
What did you think he was from?
I have a similar lizard that came out of a drink in
The
on
red
vacation.
one
Yeah.
from your Zen garden. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so now that the chocolate egg drink dispute's over, the most recent sighting I could find came in 2016.
Oh,
And
okay.
it was reported online in the article, "Is this the Barmouth Monster? Giant creature measuring 30 feet spotted in British estuary." And it's written by Zoe O'Brien on the Express website. So here's what it
I always
says.
forget. Is Express like a decent one, or is it like
I
the Sun?
honestly
Do you
don't
know?
know. It's probably
Okay.
up from the Sun as far as I can tell, but just based on the website alone. But it's express.co.uk. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
I don't go to those kinds of sites, Niall. So
We know you're all page 6
yes.
or whatever the fuck the topless page
that's
is.
right. What?
Oh, you don't know about this? There's like there's a British newspaper that at some point, I don't know if it still is, but there was like some light nudity on a certain page,
Oh.
or like one page was like where you had
Yeah,
the sexy
that's-
stuff on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I really care about with those fucking rags.
My mom tells me all the time that when she was a kid and the newspapers would advertise that the drive-in was going to have porn, and it would just
Really?
have porn in the ad
That's
section.
so crazy.
Wow.
It would have like it would be a page like advertising the titles, and sometimes it would have pictures.
I'm on Letterboxd and I follow a bunch of people on Letterboxd, and somebody on there like reviewed a movie I'd never heard of, and I went and looked at it, and it was like a late 60s, early 70s like actual pornographic feature. And that put me on a bit of a rabbit hole.
binge?
No. It just like it put me down a rabbit hole because like I don't really know about like what was going on with that.
I don't really know about porn
Well, no,
and how
just-
how do they do it?
No, just like
You haven't watched The Deuce?
just
Go ahead,
I'm just
Kyle.
saying that era of like making pornography, I was like kind of like it's like obvious now, but like when I was reading about it, I was like, I didn't realize that there was just like porn movies that were just being like put in theaters.
Mhm.
And there was like some sort of maybe attempt at like an actual like vision of like movie storytelling with it as well.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
like just didn't really I mean I kind of knew that, but like I just like I don't know. Look, what I'm trying to say is I looked this
I
movie
mean, now we call it like Skinamax,
Softcore or
Right,
whatever,
right.
yeah.
Well, I
right?
looked,
I mean,
Well, not softcore, but,
this was not softcore, let me tell you that much. I didn't watch the movie, but I read
no,
about
we're
it.
talking full penetration. But
I read about it and it had this sort of like weird commentary. It had this like commentary about like racism and masculinity going on, as far as I could tell, like is what the sort of suggest. I couldn't remember the name of this movie, but I was like, this is really weird to me, and I can't imagine what it would have been
I
like.
mean, we're talking exploitation era, right?
Sure,
We're
Is
talking
that-
like
is
Russ
that what you
Meyer
mean?
type
Yeah.
stuff, probably.
I don't know, but
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, they used to have
Picture
theaters
houses. Yeah, I
that
know.
you would go, and so there would be movies
I
playing all
was-
day. It can't all be actual thrusting if it's going to be for
course.
like hours on end
I
It's
was
just a super cut.
of thrusting.
well. That's what porn is now, right? Like that.
It's a compilation.
Jesus. I read on Wikipedia about what effectively was the golden age of porn because I didn't know anything about it, and I read about it and it's like, that's interesting.
When was that?
I think through the
When was the
70s,
golden
right?
age?
Like
70s.
yeah, that was
Because
the
I was gonna say,
impression
I feel like by the time we're watching Taxi Driver,
got.
and we're kind of on the way out of New York being like that, and they're just being porn.
It's
theaters
like
and
it's
stuff,
like late
right?
60s, early
That's the
70s because it was
70s.
attributing.
Yeah.
Look, this would probably be an interesting podcast that somebody could do, but it was it was like sort of attributing the ushering in of the golden age of pornography film with Andy Warhol. Is what I was reading. This is just me remembering what I read on Wikipedia. So if people want to look it up,
this is interesting. This is just us chatting about porn.
I know. It's so how did we fucking get here?
This is us chatting about porn and then recording it and posting it on the internet. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I didn't watch anything. I just read Wikipedia articles. Okay. I swear to God, I'm that lame.
Kyle's never watched porn in his life.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
One time when I was a child, we had to look up a word in the dictionary because we were having like a funny argument. You know how sometimes like it'll be a thing, everybody's laughing, you're like arguing, but no one really cares.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some dispute about the meaning of a word. And we had to look up the word. And when we went to look it up, I had the dictionary and it was near the V's, and I went to the word vagina and I got caught doing it.
Oh my God.
Because I was doing it just because I thought it would be funny.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was young enough to be like, would that be in the dictionary? But then I got caught doing it and put on blast in front of all of my siblings.
That's so inappropriate of you.
I know. And I'm ashamed. And now I've put it on record on this podcast.
Yeah. Here, I'll throw it in there. I remember one time at my grandparents' place, they would just get HBO and that stuff on their TVs, and I was young. I don't know how young. Not like super young, but young. And I remember accidentally finding softcore porn on one of those channels and being like, what the hell? Like very I mean, as a young boy, you're just kind of like, holy shit, this is crazy. But I also remember that like same time that I found that, I like was like, holy shit, they have like these weird channels on here. I remember I found, I couldn't tell you what it was. I couldn't tell you what movie, what channel or whatever. But I remember like checking those channels because I was like, that's fucking crazy that there's this porn on this channel here. And I checked the other channels and ended up seeing something that I presumably from like a horror movie, but I mean, it was like really fucking graphic, gnarly shit. And just being so scared of that I never went back to look for those channels because I thought, I don't know what the fuck I saw.
Wait, so you saw something scary, like violent? Or you
violent,
mean you saw
violent and with like really graphic, gory stuff.
Ew,
and I don't know what it was, but it was some sort of fucking, I think it had to have been a horror movie.
Isn't that so weird to think now? Because you would probably see a very similar thing now and be so like
I would
at it
probably, but here's the thing: this involved like really graphic nudity stuff too. I can tell you off mic what I saw because I don't think I want to repeat it on the show because it was really fucked up and it freaked me out.
Yeah.
But it was like it had to have been on a channel that like this wouldn't air on regular TV to this day.
Yeah.
And it scared the shit out of me as a kid. So I never, I think they caught on that I found those channels though, because I think I told them that I saw something really fucked up on TV and they ended up like blocking HBO and all that stuff. So
yeah,
never got to.
Nile and I used to try to watch 40 Days and 40 Nights late at night on Comedy Central or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that the other day.
What's that?
Look, you go for any movie that was like rated R that I could find on thing. I would always just like, but yeah.
It's a sex comedy.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Classic. Hell yeah.
Josh Hartnett, right? Yeah.
So.
Star of Oppenheimer.
Oh, shit. I thought that was the other guy.
He's co-star, okay?
Yeah,
I would say he's supporting.
Yeah, he's supporting.
Okay. So sort of a Robert Downey Jr. level role.
He's in the ensemble.
He and Robert Downey Jr. have like
sex?
He's like slightly they fuck. There's a scene where they're in like a courtroom and Josh Hartnett is just completely nude riding Robert Downey
my
Jr.
God.
and a lady covered her husband's eyes during it.
Yeah.
But the lady was
such
using
a
her.
specific,
such a-
outdated
The lady
joke.
was
Yeah,
covering
that's
his eyes with one of her hands, and then like sort of like trying to get a better look with her other hand over her eyes.
Yes.
Like this,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes.
Kind of seeing
Yeah.
out into the.
Yeah, she was pulling a Captain Charisma. Yeah.
So yeah, Zoe O'Brien wrote this article on the Express website that says this quote. Sightings of a sea beast have been recorded for decades in Barmouth, Wales, but there has never been any photographic evidence of the legendary monster. Now, for the first time, an image has emerged of what could be the famed creature. Lanarth pensioner Mohammed Tala snapped the monster-like shape in the estuary of the River Arun, 60 miles away from Barmouth, sparking speculation that the Barmouth monster has migrated south. Mr. Tala said, I took one look and thought, blimey, that looks just like the Loch Ness monster, he told the Cambrian News. I went down there 2 days later to see if I could spot it again, but by then it had gone. The paranormal database mentions that the creature and its various descriptions, saying they range from the traditional sea serpent to a creature resembling a giant turtle with an egg-shaped head and two spines jutting from its back.
I like a turtle. Big turtle.
Yeah,
cryptid.
that's one of the descriptions. Well, once again,
Gamora.
there is...
Gamera is really neat. He's made a turtle.
Gamera's Welsh.
I did find some Gamera-like stuff in researching this that I put in my pocket for later, so...
okay.
But once again, all of this goes back
Find
to...
a Gamera, pick it up all day long. You'll have good luck.
Did you come up with that, or is that a saying?
Find a penny, pick it
Yeah,
up.
Oh,
all day
okay.
long.
okay,
You'll
okay.
have good luck.
I see. I didn't. But if you do find a Gamera while you're walking around, I would recommend picking that thing up and putting it in your pockets and getting that good luck.
One time I saw, back when I used to visit when I visit family in Iowa, there's a certain trail, and there was a lady that I saw way more frequently than you would expect to be normal, just walking a snapping turtle.
Oh my God.
And it like imprinted on me as a child, just seeing this like fucking snapping turtle.
That's amazing.
wild.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, this all sources back to the paranormal database again, which says this quote, several sightings of various strange creatures have been seen over recent years, from the traditional sea serpent to a creature resembling a giant turtle with an egg shaped on its head and two spines jutting from its back. And it adds this. A blurred photograph taken in January 2016 that national press claimed was the monster was more than likely to have been a log.
Yeah.
So I saw the photo. And
Driftwood is really one of those things
Yeah.
that it's a fake. Yeah.
I saw that photo and it does look like a log. So
It's the heron of Nessie
yes,
explanations,
yes,
you know?
exactly, or the owl of Mothman explanations. So yeah, that's the Barmouth Monster. That's our first cryptid. That was our cryptid appetizer. Are you ready for the main course?
Oh yeah, we still have one. We have one that is longer. Okay.
All right. Next up,
Why are you so obsessed with how long they are?
I meant
know
time
what
in
you
an
meant.
episode.
look, it's okay. Let's go long today. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's fine. Fuck it.
This is a fun one.
We go.
Fuck it, we ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the Barmouth Monster. Next up, we have Bobo. That's right,
Bobo.
We're finally fucking talking about Bobo, so stop fucking asking me about it. I'm sick of all the emails.
I wake up every morning. And Kyle and just text Kyle Bobo today, and he's been saying no for
so
like
long.
5 years.
And I'm getting all these fucking emails and messages like, oh, when are you talking about Bobo? Or how come Bobo hasn't come up yet? Shut the fuck up. We're talking about Bobo now, and we're going to put the whole fucking thing to bed. So
Now I've heard Bobo's a bit of a fool. Is that true?
it's pronounced boo-boo, Nile. Read it again. This is Bobo.
Look, I figured it was in Wales, so I just had the pronunciation wrong. You know?
yeah. That's fair. That makes sense. Well, okay. So Bobo.
Do a Welsh accent.
I could not even.
possibly.
I can't even begin to try to understand what that, because I got nothing. Is that gay? What's Gaelic? Is that Irish?
No, I believe that's Scottish.
Scottish?
My name comes from Gaelic, I believe.
I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole.
Pretty sure Gaelic is. I'm pretty okay. Let me put it this way: 15 years ago, when I looked up my name, Kyle, online, it said it comes from Gaelic, meaning handsome. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. And then we've talked about my last name being Russian. So, anyways,
Yes.
Gaelic is Russian.
Gaelic is Russian. So Bobo. Bobo is a cryptid that seems to live in the North Pacific, but is typically seen around specifically the Monterey Bay off the coast of California. So, like the Barmouth Monster, there's a handful of differing accounts that give it multiple different descriptions. And just like the Barmouth Monster, it has a couple more alternate names. So it's also called, let's see,
I'm sorry. Are you not going to name a couple bands from California like you did to establish the setting?
Red Hot
Welsh?
Chili Peppers. Fucking, aren't the Dead Kennedys from California? Or am I fucking smoking?
Yeah, I believe they were so. No,
Or am I just thinking of the fact that they have the song California Uber Alles?
I honestly don't remember where they're from, but I know like you can go with the Germs, you can go with the Adolescents, you can go with fucking Agent Orange. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a couple.
How about Phantom Planet?
Phantom Planets
California.
California.
Hey, elitist
Here
from
we
LA, Los Angeles.
Oh, see, Kyle went Big D in the kids table, not Phantom Planet.
California. God, dude. So yeah, I just went with what I know. I'm sorry.
You're good.
So yeah, this thing's also known as the Monterey Monster, the Santa Cruz Sea Monster, and Moore's Beach Monster. And these accounts usually offer different sizes. Some comparing Bobo to the size of an orca, others describing it as the size of a small whale.
Take your pick.
Take your pick.
We're having a real choose your size day here.
It's
all these cryptids we're talking about today, the thing that unites them is not just being sea monsters, but there's a kind of, it's like going through a drive-through and picking your drink size.
I think that Bad Dragon needs to call their sizes small whale or orca.
Yeah, you got small whale on the lower end, orca on the upper end, and the maximum S tier is the Bobo.
Yes.
And then there's the secret size that you have to sign a waiver for. That's the bigger than a sea vessel.
Oh shit! So that's gonna give. There's gonna be a few listeners who are gonna have a couple interesting Google searches this episode.
Yeah.
So
hold on, I have to Google something real quick.
So, no, it's interesting though because the Cryptid Wiki implies that some people believe Bobo isn't alone, basically. Because of this.
Nice.
So
Bobo has a friend?
It suggests Bobo has friend. It suggests that the varying accounts of size could be explained by two main things, which would be age, which makes some sense because the different accounts are happening over a number of years and sometimes decades apart. The other theory suggests the existence of sexual dimorphism, which means that there are male and female Bobos that the male one's a Bobo and one's a Kiki. So they may have different physical traits such as size, which would be the sexual dimorphism thing. The other distinguishing characteristic is that the creature in the main account of it is said to have the wrinkly skin of an old man. So
this is actually, you said Bobo and Kiki. I just want to say, this is really funny actually because there's a study about Bobo and Kiki and Bobo being round and Kiki being sharp, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like Bobo is male and Kiki is female.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why?
Look,
I mean, Kiki Palmer exists, I guess.
I guess
Bobo
Kiki
Brazil.
is
probably
a
Kiki.
name.
It's probably Kiki Palmer and Bobo Brazil, Nile.
Look, when you say it like that, that sounds really stupid.
Oh my gosh.
I thought I was contributing.
No. I think that there's probably theory around this exact thing, but I don't have the words for it. So
but there's
this
also
is my
Bo
fucking
Derek.
Stupidest
There's
episode
Bo
in a long
Derek.
time. I'm not making myself come off like an intelligent human at all.
I'm just goofing with you. You're fine.
I, on the other hand, am coming off highly intelligent.
Yeah. Jules' IQ is off the charts this episode. So yeah, Bobo and Kiki. That's a whole thing that I'm just Google stuff. If you don't understand what we're talking about, just fucking Google it.
Give it a goog. Give it the old goog.
So The various depictions that I've seen of this thing, it has some plesiosaur mixed with crocodile vibes again. Like, it's not too dissimilar to stuff that came up with the Barmouth Monster. The best dinosaur allegory that I could find for this thing, it looks to me like a short-necked type of plesiosaur called a Chronosaurus. So if you look up Chronosaurus, you'll see it, and that's spelled with a K, not a CH. And it's close.
Take it to the Guggenheim.
Take it to the Guggenheim and take a look. So it's the closest thing, although it's missing some of the more croc or gator style features, like this like spiny back and like the sort of shape of a crocodile's jaw, you know. But
how much does it look like the crocodile from Peter
this
Pan?
one looks a lot like the crocodile from Peter Pan, actually.
Well, show it on the big board.
Here, hang on. Let me see if I can actually find a.
He's gonna order a Family Feud board real quick. Get it Amazon Primed quickly, and we'll get in by the end of the episode.
Here. I'm just gonna send this to you guys on Zoom, and Nile can edit it.
Oh, it opened.
Will I be able to hear
I wonder
it?
if I can.
No, it's
It's
not.
just an image.
The website
Oh, it's
isn't
an
going.
image.
Oh,
It's not
super
happening.
weird. Okay, well,
What is it?
it was just an image of a
picture of it.
Chronosaur.
Oh, okay.
So, but no worries. I was just gonna try and give.
He's
you,
on the big board.
He's
Ding,
on the
ding,
big
ding,
board.
ding.
Chronosaur's up there. Note that some weird technical difficulties, but if you Google it, you'll find it. So
Take it to the Guggenheim.
the first recorded sighting is preserved online in a sort of weird way that I found. So it was in an article titled "The Tale of Bobo." Monterey Bay's sea creature resurfaces. And this was in Monterey County Weekly, but attached to the article is a little note that says this. This story is based on a transcript in the Monterey Maritime Museum's collection written by Sal Coletto, a Monterey sardine fisherman who worked on the bay during the early 1900s. So this account is written as a story, so I get the impression it was some sort of fisherman's tale or something. But these are, I guess, transcripts and like information from the museum. So it's not some sort of cryptid story totally made up whole cloth. There's probably something to it, even if it's just like this folkloric telling. You know what I mean? Like it's not. There's probably. I don't know how to describe it. Look, I'll tell you the story and you can make up your own mind. But here's what it says. Quote. It was a clear fall day, and the Pacific Ocean was as flat and clear as a giant mirror. From Captain Sal Coletto's small salmon fishing boat, 10 miles off Moss Landing, the indentation of the Monterey Bay on the shore looked like a giant's thumbprint as he headed back towards Point Pinos. After a day of luckless fishing in the waters of Santa Cruz, the Monterey fisherman was looking forward to getting home. Suddenly, Coletto noticed something floating in the sea about a half-mile farther out. Thinking it might be a man bobbing in the ocean, he gunned the engine and headed out towards the object. When the captain got within 100 feet of the thing, he saw a creature with a head the size of a 50-gallon barrel. It was tapered to where a duck-like bill protruded from the massive bulging forehead. Coletto started to think about how a pair of fishermen had disappeared recently without a trace. Maybe the sea monster had devoured them. Not wanting to join their ranks, he pushed his boat's throttle all the way down and headed back towards the Monterey Peninsula. He decided that he would not tell anyone about what he had seen. 16 years later, Coletto was traveling towards the fishing grounds off Half Moon Bay on his 45-foot boat, the Dante Alighieri. While the crew ate lunch in the galley below, Coletto and his brother-in-law swapped fishing stories as the craft headed northward. Eventually, his brother-in-law started talking about a strange sea creature he had spotted a few times at the edge of the deep Monterey submarine canyon. Coletto got the chills as his brother-in-law described how other fishermen had said the beast would only surface on calm, sunny days 24 hours before a strong northwest wind started to blow. It was a windless day, and the water was smooth and silver as liquid mercury. As Coletto gazed towards the Santa Cruz Mountains, he observed something bobbing in the sea, and his heart fluttered like a dying fish's gills. He realized immediately that it was that strange creature. "All hands on deck," Coletto yelled to the crew. They poured out of the galley and stood on the bow of the boat, wondering what the commotion was all about. "I want all you guys to see this," he said, as he slowly brought the boat closer to the beast. The captain then cut the motor, and the boat drifted within 50 feet of the object. The creature's eyes were closed, and it floated on the surface as if it were sunbathing or sleeping. It has the face of a monkey, his cook squealed. Let's leave. This is a bad omen. No, its face looks like that of an old man, Coleto's brother-in-law said. The noise must have awakened the monster, and it slowly opened its eyes, which were as big and pink as grapefruits. The creature's body was brown and almost as long as the boat. Its skin was wrinkled and sagged from its frame like ill-fitting clothing. Coleto thought to himself that this was a very old animal. While the crew argued about what...
Hey, you're both right.
While the crew argued about what the animal looked like, the monster quietly slid underwater like an elderly man easing into a bath. Following the sighting, several other fishermen saw the creature, and eventually the people of Monterey started to refer to the animal as Bobo, the old man of the sea. From then on, Coleto kept a camera on his vessel, hoping to once again spot Bobo and get photographic evidence of its existence. He never saw it again. A few years later, in 1925, a strange sea creature washed ashore on a beach 2 miles north of Santa Cruz. Though the dead body was decomposed, scientists, including E.L. Wallace, a former president of the Natural History Society of British Columbia, did not think the carcass was that of a whale or a shark. Wallace even suggested that the animal might be a plesiosaurus, a large marine reptile held over from the Jurassic period. Whatever it was, a creature resembling Bobo was never spotted again in the waters of Monterey Bay.
I can't believe that he broke the thermal layer to come up. If anyone here has seen the Meg, here's how it works. There's a thermal, what do they call it? Oh my God.
I forget.
He breached the thermal layer where the temperature of the ocean, there's like...
a hard line.
There's a hard line where it's one temperature above it and a different temperature below it. And the temperature difference is so great that there are creatures that cannot pass through it without dying.
Yeah, and like pressure and stuff. Like it's like a different ecosystem beneath it.
So they live below this line, and that's why we've never seen them. And there's prehistoric beasts swimming around down there.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Jason Statham breaks the thermal layer by taking a ship down there, and the hole is big enough that the Meg comes through.
Fuck.
And that's how we get the Meg on the surface.
I didn't know it was possible.
And so
I'm assuming somebody went full Statham here and got this wrinkly old like fucking limp tube sock
this
of a
old
thing.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I was the whole time that you were reading the account, I was trying to I was in my mind crafting a joke about Avatar, but I'm glad that I landed on the Meg instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Nile, the thing that it kind of started to make me think of was your episode about the like goo creature that would wash up.
Oh, yeah.
There's some things in this that kind of remind me of that, although I don't think that's what we actually end up with here. Or rather, I should say, the evidence that has come out about this thing suggests that's not what happened here. But when I was researching this, there's like tangentially like connected things to this about like washed up corpses on the beach and stuff. And
yeah.
But it's different creatures in some of the other ones that I was seeing that were like kind of wrapped up in this like plesiosaur thing. But that was, so that's the first sighting of Bobo. Now it mentions the 1925 sighting. And luckily we do have some information about that. So we have the account of E.J. Lear, who wrote into the Santa Cruz Sentinel about this sighting. And here's what he said. I was driving a team towards Capitola when suddenly I was attracted by some young sea lions not far out. They were lined up and several large lions were swimming back and forth in front of them. Much farther out, I saw the water being churned to foam and thrown high up in the air. It was shiny and I took it for a big fish. A dozen or more lions were battling it, and every once in a while all would rise out of the water. It looked to me as though the sea lions were attacking it beneath as the monster came out of the water several times. In telling of the battle of that night, I estimated its length at 30 feet. The battle continued as long as I could see it from the road. I was driving toward Capitola from a load of sand. I have not seen the monster on the beach, but it may have been that which I saw. A few days later, the body of a strange creature was discovered by Charles Moore on the shore in the very same area that Mr. Lear saw the battle. The body was examined by a naturalist, E.L. Wallace, who said, "My examination of the monster was quite thorough. I felt in its mouth and found it had no teeth. Its head is large and its neck is fully 20 feet long. The body is weak and the tail is only 3 feet in length from the end of the backbone. These facts do away with the whale theory, as the backbone of a whale is far larger than any bone in this animal. Again, its tail is too weak for an animal of the deep and does away with that last version. With a bill like it possesses, it must have lived on herbage. I would call it a type of plesiosaurus." Later, Mr. Wallace offered the theory that the monster may have been preserved in a glacier for millions of years, finally being released by the gradual melting of ice, eventually ending up cast upon the shore in Monterey Bay. Now,
Okay.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Is there any time that's ever actually like? I feel like that gets suggested for a lot of things. Do we ever have something like that happen? Has that actually happened?
Which thing do you mean?
Some type of creature being frozen and then unfrozen and being alive?
I don't think that's a thing that's happened.
I saw this documentary once.
The Meg?
No, let it go.
Okay, sorry.
There was a guy with a beard, and he had this really cool hat. I remember the hat.
Really cool hat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the hat?
Okay.
There
Oh
was
my
a lot of
Was
ice.
it like a beanie?
No, it was like it had a really wide brim,
Okay.
and he wore it with a blue sweatshirt with
Are
the
you
hood up.
okay? Yeah. So you want to?
He could fly a helicopter like
He could.
nobody's
Yeah.
business.
He
this
also
guy.
He's
Bad at chess.
unconventionally good at chess. Okay, we went different ways on that.
Okay. Kyle, what's the movie? Niall got it.
Eventually good at chess.
He's bad at chess.
Bad at chess.
I would say.
Oh.
No, Niall and I described one set of events in two different ways.
Yeah. He's
He beats a computer
pretty
at
helpful
chess.
with a flamethrower.
Oh, are we fucking talking about the thing?
He knows what's best for Wilford Brimley.
We're
Yeah.
talking about the thing?
That's what Jules was
Okay.
going for. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing freezes.
Oh,
it
right.
thaws.
Yeah.
It's in the ice.
That's true.
And it gets thawed.
And it was also a big whale creature, you know?
Yeah, that is another thing. Well, it could have
It could have
been.
been. That's true. It very well could have been. It could have been anything.
It would explain. Hey, it would explain the size differences. It would explain the different
That's true.
presentations
There
and
you go.
cryptids.
So we're dealing with a thing type situation, basically.
So what if we do a thing sequel where all cryptids are just versions of the
Oh,
thing
God.
that have spread across the earth?
I like that.
What do you think Fox Mulder would make of these accounts? Would he be into it, or would he
He'd
think
have a
that
file.
it's a scam?
He'd have a file on it.
Okay.
I actually had this is gonna sound so self-aggrandizing, but I did have like a Fox Mulder moment where like I looked at the photo. So there's photos of this thing, right? And I looked at the photos and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's some sort of dolphin. Like you can find the photos of it. So I like stopped here in my notes to just see if I was right, to see if I could find information.
You mean to tell me that while you take notes, you're looking for information?
Yes, exactly. But like usually I just like don't read, like I'll read the whole thing and like figure out at the end, you know, what the theories are about this creature. But
So wait, you're saying that
Usually
you
I
read through
don't
information and then wait till the end to draw conclusions?
sure.
Wait a second.
But what I'm saying is I stopped before finishing reading the story to see if I could figure out what the creature was.
He had a hunch, Niall. He had a
okay.
hunch.
Yeah,
Because I was like, I wonder if I'm right. I wonder if this is a dolphin.
And were you?
Sort of, yeah. So
So you said it's a Fox Mulder moment, though. So were you pouting cuntily the
yeah, I
entire
was
time?
pouting cuntily, and I called up.
And then he went
called
to
him a
go.
red- redhead?
Scully
Then
and
he went
said,
to go,
you know, Scully, you fucking whale alien, and Scully was like, but Mulder. So,
Is that your
I
impression?
don't know.
This is
It's
your
not
impression
good.
of Scully?
It's bad.
I think she's a little bit more
She is.
articulate.
No,
than that.
definitely is. Do you mean to tell me that there's a whale in the sea that's also made of alien hybrid DNA? And Mulder like looks at her like, maybe I do believe that. No, so
Is that your spec episode for the X-Files?
Yeah,
You're
yes,
writing, you're putting
exactly.
it away. Yeah.
this is for the fucking third remake that they're doing. So,
No.
no. So here's the reason I did it is I was intrigued. I like looked at it. I looked at these photos. The thing does look really big. Like it's very big. And I was like, okay, so, but it looks like it has like a bottlenose dolphin snout, kind of.
You guys are such size queens.
Oh my god. In this instant, yes.
Look, when you're talking about cryptids, you gotta start with identifying features.
Yes. And I think size is one of those things that's like even more important with like things seen in the water, because
You heard it here first, everybody.
Size
Size
matters.
matters.
size matters, and the motion of the ocean is important too. But the size is important just to figure out what the fuck this thing is.
I couldn't agree more.
So going by the photos, like I said, it kind of looks like a bottlenose dolphin almost. And I ended up like looking up what are the largest dolphins and porpoises in the world. And it looked to me that they, like this sort of snout dolphins, the ones with like a bill almost, don't tend to get more than 13 feet long. But there are other types of dolphins that grow like up to and in excess of 20 feet long. And that includes short and long-finned pilot whales, the false killer whale, and even orcas, because orcas are dolphins. They're a type of... So, like, dolphins are a type of whale. They're a cetacean suborder Odontocetes. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's basically like these whales with teeth are dolphins and porpoises and such. Now, this thing notably does not have teeth. So I was like close with my dolphin guess. I think my amateur research thing didn't like, I didn't find anything that would be the correct size and also have a snout like that.
Yeah. So
the photo is pretty weird, I must say, but that would be, assuming that the account is completely accurate. So yeah, I did some Googling because I was curious, and since my first impression was a dolphin. However, we have some expanded material here. So in the Journal of Mammalogy in November of 1929, we get some expanded material, like I said, on the 1925 Bobo moment. So here's what it says.
Having a real Bobo moment
we're
over
having
here.
a Bobo moment.
I'm going Bobo mode.
I'm Bobo-pilled and Bobo-brained. And it says, on June 4th, 1925, the newspapers of Santa Cruz and San Francisco, California, apprised the public of the occurrence of a sea serpent or other more or less fabled marine monster in California waters. A few days prior to the newspaper stories, the remains of a large marine animal had been washed ashore on the beach at Santa Cruz, California. Decomposition had set in, and close examination of the carcass was not lightly undertaken. Consequently, the tales were the result of distant and hasty examination. When the news of the presence of this creature reached Dr. Barton Warren Everman of the California Academy of Sciences, he visited the spot and pronounced the sea serpent to be the eviscerated carcass of a beaked whale. More specific identification was impossible at that time, but arrangements were made to have the skull preserved, and it is now incorporated in the collections of the California Academy of Sciences. Examination of the skull after its arrival at the museum proved it to be that of the rare Baird's beaked whale, previously known to science by only 10 specimens. When the skull reached the museum, the tips of the mandibles had been broken off, and one pterygoid and the teeth were missing. Otherwise, it was in good condition. So my confusion about it being a dolphin is that there is a beaked whale that is like pretty rare. So that to me is probably another good way to explain cryptids. Where
just like weird kind of like
rare animal,
lesser known creatures,
a lesser known rare animal, and if it's dead too and like partially decayed, you people aren't going to know what it is. Like, people know what a fucking whale is, right? Like, you can look at this thing and go like, that's not a whale, but do you know the beaked whale?
You can go out on the street right now and ask 10 people.
Sir.
And at least 9 of them will have heard of a whale.
Yeah. So most people will. But, like, I didn't know there was a beaked whale until I read this. So, that's, I think, a good explanation for this one. And it makes sense. And they still have the specimen at in the collection in California.
Oh, so they straight up just have it.
Oh, yeah, it's real.
Can I touch it?
I think
I go
it's on
see it?
display. I don't think you can touch it. But I think it's there.
Buddy, they won't even
They
let
won't
me
even
fuck
let me fuck the beaked whale skull. So,
That's some real monster fucker shit. All right.
Lots of good pull quotes from Kyle on this episode.
Yeah.
just edit me out of context in this episode. Make
See,
me
this
into
is
a real
this
freak.
is the fun thing is that what you really mean is a lot of good episode titles that I'm not sure Apple Podcasts would accept in this episode.
Aw.
That's okay.
I think we all know it's called Size Matters.
Fuck. So much of the information that sort of surrounds this 1925 sighting and the examination and photos of these corpses comes from the 1975 book Shipwrecks and Sea Monsters by Randall Reinstead. And I went looking for this book, and I would tell you that you can read it on the Internet Archive, but for some reason, the link to this book takes you to a different archived book by the same author that's titled Where Have All the Sardines Gone? So I looked through about 100 pages of that before realizing it's not in this book. But
wait, the sardines aren't in the book?
No, the fucking cryptid's not in the book. It's in a totally different book. So if you want to read about the early days of sardine canning in Monterey, then I guess that's for you. But that wasn't, But this guy seemed to be like an expert on like marine, life and seafaring in Monterey Bay. So like it makes sense. But this book is where this stuff comes from. But I couldn't find the archived text anywhere. You'd have to buy the book.
Gotcha.
Now, while the scientific community concluded that this was a rare whale, Bobo's story doesn't quite end there. This is a little...
Good old Bobo.
Bobo keeps on going on.
Bobo persists.
And yet Bobo persisted. So this is a little bit more tenuous, and I got it from phantomsandmonsters.com, which they like give you their sources, but they don't tell you which things come from which. So they'll list like 5 different books on Amazon that I don't have the text. I don't have the actual text they're referencing. But the account that they have here seems to come from an eyewitness who submitted a story, an account of a Bobo-like creature in response to seeing an episode of an Animal Planet TV series called Lost Tapes. So, January 2009.
Just looking for lost tapes.
What?
Just doing fucking... for some reason, fucking Homestar Runner saying cool tapes.
Oh, I see.
When he said
Homestar, why
lost
did you
tapes.
write Lost Tapes on my wall? I don't know. Maybe because I like Lost Tapes. Duh.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, I didn't know if that's like the poll you were making, but now I understand.
Yeah.
Cool tapes. So, episode 3, season 1, January 2009 of this show. It's this story about this lady named Sharon Novak, where apparently on July 17th, 2007, she was trying a round-the-world trip in a sailboat that she called Artemis. The story goes that Sharon Novak got a distress call while she was in Monterey Bay. And when she got to the location where the distress call was coming from, she found a boat that was empty. And then some creature bumps the shit out of her boat and causes her to fall overboard. And when she's trying to swim back, she's eaten by a sea creature, one that sort of looks like a large plesiosaur. And so there's a dramatic reenactment of this on Lost Tapes. Now, don't have to get too deep into this, but like when people looked into this story, probably didn't happen. There's no news stories on a woman named Sharon Novak of going missing on a boat. There's no story of a boat owner going missing in Monterey Bay. There's just nothing to this story.
I love when that happens because, like, normally if there's a name in there, your brain goes, oh, okay, so they have like a witness that they can point to. So it's probably they at least are describing something they actually saw. But there are so many stories out there that have names, locations, times, everything. Yeah. And you find out there is absolutely no precedent for them, and the entire thing is made up.
It's such a weird thing because, yeah, it's like made up for this Animal Planet TV show, right? Like, but it seems to be based on the idea of a plesiosaur being in Monterey Bay, which is kind of what Bobo is maybe supposed to be.
Gotcha.
But what happened from this is that somebody responds to this episode who claims to be an eyewitness to a Bobo, and submitted their story. But I don't know where this story was submitted. I think it's in one of the books that Phantoms and Monsters sourced. But I don't know.
Okay.
I genuinely don't know where this came from. But this is supposedly an account.
I'm an eyewitness to a Bobo right now looking at you two.
Two fucking Bobos staring at each other.
Got a couple of Bobos over here.
So here's what this person says. This is an account of a sighting that has remained a mystery for me and my brother for approximately 38 years now. My brother and I, along with our dad, were fishing in Monterey Bay in 1971 or 1972. We had rented a 16-foot boat and were headed out into the bay with my brother at the controls. I was seated up front next to him and our dad was sitting behind us. Suddenly, just a dozen yards or so directly in front of us, some kind of a large sea creature was starting to surface. We saw only part of its arched body, but it was directly in front of us and we both got a good close-up look. Even though we were total amateurs in all seafaring activities and knew nothing at all about sea life, we were both convinced that we saw something that wasn't supposed to be in Monterey Bay. We both continued to describe this creature as, quote, some kind of prehistoric sea creature. That was about the only way we could think of to describe what we saw. We may have been young and inexperienced, but we always have maintained that what we saw was not normal. We noted its skin texture, color, and the fact that it had large scales. And then, in response to the episode, tonight was the very first time that we have ever heard of anything like this being spotted in Monterey Bay. My brother watched the program, lost tapes, then just informed me. After 38 years, we now are happy to say that we probably were right all along. We have always maintained that what we saw was not normal at all.
All right.
So that is where the Bobo trail goes kind of cold. I haven't found much in the way of recent Bobo sightings. Like I said,
No new Bobo. New year, new Bobo, nothing like that.
The jaw of the washed up one is still on display in the California Academy of Sciences, as far as I know. And, many people still insist that this is an as of yet unknown creature. Like, if you want to get into the nitty gritty about the carcass that they found, people look at it and say, like, well, it has like appendages and a tail that don't suggest a whale, but like the skull evidence that they have of the thing does suggest this rare whale. It's a whole thing. I get the impression, though, that like the people who have examined it's the piece of skeleton that they have saying it is this like billed whale, it's probably that. Mm-hmm. But it's rare,
yeah,
and it's strange looking. And it was dead and fucked up. So, makes sense. There are other connected stories, mostly due to the 70s and 80s having a lot of these plesiosaur cryptid sightings and reports, but none that I can say links specifically to the monster of Monterey, Bobo. So that is the story of Bobo.
All right.
Any thoughts at the end of it all?
Bobo seems like a good boy.
Bobo seems like a cool
Bobo.
hang.
Yeah.
I like Bobo. It seems chill.
But what size you ordering?
I'm extra large Bobo.
Extra large
I want
Bobo?
an extra large Bobo. Well, with all that being said,
I want a fries and a shake with my
I'd like
Bobo.
some short and curly fries with my Bobo.
We call them serpent fries.
Yeah, give me a side of serpent fries, please.
Okay, I think we have to open a theme restaurant.
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, a cryptid themed restaurant would be so good. Like, how does that not happen?
We got the Bobo platter that's like fish with curly fries.
Fucking Rainforest Cafe, but it's all cryptids. That'd be fucking awesome.
Maybe look. I think if we act quickly, we could get some closed down Rainforest Cafe buildings.
That's probably true.
So a lot of the work would already be done for us.
Definitely. We just have to, change that big fucking gorilla into a Bigfoot. Maybe turn the parrot into a Thunderbird.
The frog into a frogman. Like we got this.
It would be so fucking easy. Let's flip it. Let's make it happen. Yeah. That's not what the big question's all about, though.
Okay.
Which are you both ready for a big question?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Oh God. Okay. So, all right. Big question. We all know the euphemism for skirt perp, honk on that Bobo. But
what the
but
fuck?
what would we use?
We all know.
What would we use this popular phrase for smoking big doinks in the context of our cryptid friend? So, in the context of Bobo the cryptid, what would honk on that Bobo mean for him or for us interacting with him? And I just want to say, we did have the inventor of honk on that Bobo on this show a number of years ago, Lars. So shouts out to Lars.
True. That's correct. Man, what would honking on that Bobo be?
I want to double check while you're thinking about that, about whether honk on that Bobo reveals the secrets of the bizarre phrase I just said. Urban Dictionary, honk the Bobo. That's totally,
okay.
Oh my God, that's totally different. That's not the same thing.
What's the Urban Dictionary definition?
The top, there's a second definition, which honk that Bobo to request a pull of one's joint / blunt. Quote, I've been dying to smoke. Can I honk that Bobo? But the top one says, as Bobo has often been a name used by clowns, namely dunk tank clowns, the term honk the Bobo can refer to giving oral sex to a clown.
Yeah.
Look, we're in a real clowncore era, I guess.
I guess so.
So I guess that means you're giving oral sex to the sea monster.
I didn't necessarily want to guide you in that direction. Oh, wait, I forgot. Aerosmith has a fucking album called Honkin' on Bobo.
Yeah, I was gonna
so
say
stupid.
that's the version I'm familiar with.
Yeah,
I forgot.
Which it's oral sex and it's masturbating.
And it's playing,
I think.
I believe so.
But it's playing
harmonica.
I forgot about that. Well, that's probably, anyways, honking on that Bobo.
I think he probably plays the harmonica.
He does. Oh, Bobo does.
Bobo does.
I mean,
so you think you think you're using that to say that that's when he busts out his harmonica and is fucking laying down tasty riffs?
I mean, where would you think that Steven Tyler got it? You know, like
Steven Tyler went to Monterey Bay, and he hung out with all the bands we mentioned earlier from
Aerosmith,
California.
A band from California.
Are they?
Gotta be, right?
Oh,
Gotta be. Where are they from?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Aerosmith seems like they
race.
came into existence at approximately like 32 years of age to me. So I can't fathom them being young.
Well, Steven Tyler is
they're
from
from
Yonkers.
Boston.
Yeah, Boston.
They're from Boston.
Based, yeah.
Okay.
So not quite.
The sort of Nature's California.
The scientific journal Nature that we mentioned earlier. Yeah.
Yes, Nature's California is Boston.
Okay, so Jules has determined
That's my final
that
answer.
honking that Bobo is when Bobo is hitting that harmonica.
Yep.
Yeah.
And teaching Steven Tyler how to play
I
harmonica.
thought you were going to say teaching Steven Tyler how to go down on a clown.
Well, he could do that too. He's a multifaceted. Bobo is a Renaissance man.
That is what honking on Bobo means on an AO3 tag.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say that this was the wrinkly one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna say it's when you do that thing where you grab like the cheeks and you like squish it around and like play with like saggy.
Like on a dog.
Yeah. That's honking on Bobo.
Bobo.
You're like, yeah, you're doing it in like a large scale fucking cheek flap.
That's so. See, I also had a wrinkles based one. I had two locked and loaded. One had to do with jerking off Bobo, which would be like, but like I wanted to,
which is currently no one's taken that as their answer.
But what
yet,
I wanted to say, I wanted to be very specific about how we're jerking him off here because, I mean this in like animal husbandry style jerking off Bobo. Like this would be Bobo farmers.
So not for pleasure, but for procreation.
This is Bobo farmers who are like, we need to, breed more Bobos. So we're gonna honk that Bobo.
You're talking about like how they milk that whale.
Yes.
What's the whale's name?
I know what you're talking about.
The big whale.
Yes.
The most famous
Shamu.
whale that you can think
Shamu?
of. Shamu.
Yeah.
They milk Shamu
They fucking jerk him off
because
to release tension or whatever.
to release tension, but also Shamu is a title that is passed down from whale to whale. And they jerk off Shamu
Each
so that the
Shamu
lineage
is a receiver of the most luxurious aquarium hand job available.
It's right.
Well, that's kind of what I pictured for Bobo.
And that's what they call honking
That's
on
what
Bobo.
I pictured Bobo here. The other thing that I was going to say is like, what if honking on Bobo is when you take one of those like gas station squeegees and like wring out the water in its wrinkles? Like you like not wring it out, but like squeegee out the water in its wrinkles. So like you honk it off.
Calling that honking.
You honk that Bobo. Squeegee the water
It's
out.
like squeegeeing this thing's cheeks. Okay.
Yeah. The water keeps it all turgid, and you gotta soften them up. So
All right.
that was my idea. I don't know why you need a soft Bobo, but in my mind you do. So,
I think you couldn't be more right.
yeah,
You gotta honk that Bobo till it's soft.
and that can apply to so many things. This could also
Look, I'm referring to one of our definitions,
not
but
gonna
I'm
tell
not
you
going
which
to tell you
one.
which
Yeah.
one.
this could also just be smoking weed with the cryptid with Bobo. So
Honking on Bobo. Oh my God, never mind. I was about to say something really gross.
I like gross.
We'll save that for the
yeah.
Patreon. All the jokes that we thought of that we didn't feel comfortable saying in public, we'll just put on the Patreon.
Perfect. All right. Well,
people would pay money
they would
for that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's all I've got for Bobo. Are you guys ready for business bullshit?
For business? Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So if you want to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter at IGW Podcast.
You can follow us on Facebook.com/ItGetsWeirdPodcast.
And we're on all your favorite podcatchers, from Google Play to Apple Podcasts to Spotify. If you listen to podcasts somewhere, look up It Gets Weird, and we're probably
Follow
there.
us on Twitch.tv/ItGetsWeird, where sometimes we're playing some fucking video games on there. You can also email us like our friend of the show, Jules, did at itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com.
Only three,
Only three
though.
this week.
Only
Please.
three.
If any more than
Thank
three,
you.
and it is just fucked, okay? So please keep that in mind for this week. Patreon.com/ItGetsWeird. We have a $2 tier and a $5 tier. At the $2 tier, we have It Gets Weird TV, where right now we're watching season 2 of The X-Files and discussing it. And then listeners who donate get to vote for what TV show we discuss next in the rotation. We also have a $5 tier where we have another bonus show that comes in the off weeks of It Gets Weird TV. So you get bonus content every single week at the $5 tier. Whether you donate to the $2 tier or the $5 tier, you get access to the main show 2 days early on Friday instead of Sunday. And you get access to a Discord where we're all hanging out, chatting, discussing all kinds of shit. You know, Bobo's, Bigfoot, and the Beast of Bray Road. Those are the 3 Bs that I could think of.
There you go.
And then we also have a $1 tier where you just are saying, hey, I like your show. You don't get anything out of it. You don't get, bonus stuff. You're just saying, here's a tip. Thanks for doing what you do. Keep on rocking, as our listeners always say. If you can't donate, please tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your congressman all about It Gets Weird Podcast.
And if you're emailing because of this episode, sign it. Keep on.
Yes,
rocking.
I agree. But only 3 times.
Only 3 of you.
Only 3
Only 3
times.
of you. 1 email
Please.
Per.
Just
Okay.
really,
Only
I
3.
cannot stress this enough, how much you will fuck things up if you don't do this right. So, Jules, thanks for coming on the show as always. I realized it was a little bit last minute, but I thought this would be a fun one. So
Hey, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I had a great
yeah.
time dragging
hell
this
yeah.
out.
No, it's perfect. I love it.
Well, look, now we'll go off and honk some Bobo.
Hell yeah. And I'm not telling you which one.
All right. Thank you all for listening. That's been It Gets Weird. I've been Nile.
And I'm Kyle signing out.